One of the all-time great closers in DBU baseball history was Brandon Koch. He was an All-American at DBU in 2015. He's our guest on today's edition of Coming Home. Brandon, you arrived as a freshman in 2013 as a two-way player, shortstop and a pitcher. How quickly did you realize that your future was going to be on the mound?
I think in my mind I was, I always wanted to be a shortstop. That's what I've always wanted, and I came here with the intention of starting at shortstop, and it was about midway through the fall where I started really pitching. I was consistently throwing in our games, and I was throwing really well, and I thought maybe this is something I could do when I'm not playing or I got a day off or something. But yeah, it was just when we started the season, the Coach Heath and Coach Fitz told me that I was going to be a pitcher only that year, and I was kind of like, why? I played well. I thought my future was as a shortstop, and they just kept telling me hey, this it's going to work out. There's a reason we're doing this and all that. So I went into Fitz's office and I told him, I was like, I'm going to be your starting shortstop next year. You just watch. And then he looked at me straight in the eye. And he said no. So yeah, that was the point where they told me I was going to start pitching, and then went through that year and just kind of struggled. Didn't really think that was it, but I guess there was more waiting.
Well, they knew what they were talking about. A 7-run ERA as a freshman, but you come back that that sophomore year to become quite possibly the best closer in college baseball. What clicked for you that's going into that sophomore season?
I think it was the transition I made was in West Virginia when I went to the Prospect League, and I went there and played a little bit of shortstop, a little bit of second base, just to kind of see if this is still something I wanted to do. And I had a lot of success on the mound. I didn't have as much success at the plate, and I think the game had just sped up too much in the infield and at the plate. It was, where I was going to develop the best was on the mound. And midway through that summer, I think I was leading the league in strikeouts. I was leading the league in wins, and I called Heath and I was like, hey man, I'm going to be a pitcher, so I'm ready to come back and put everything I have into this.
You're a part of quite possibly the most dominant bullpen in college baseball, your junior season in 2015. What can you say about that group of guys, and literally how you got to a ball game in the 6th inning and it's over if you've got the lead?
I mean, that's just what, we were so good, and we competed against each other, and we were always pushing each other to be better. Man, you look back at some of those games, it's just you could go with anybody. You could go with anybody you wanted to, and that you knew the game was over. And I think we were always, you genuinely wanted them to do well. You wanted your teammates to do well. You looked at the other guys in the bullpen, and it's not like they were taking innings away from me. It's they were going out there and doing their job, and then it was my turn to come in and do mine. And I think we really bought into that philosophy with each other, and I think that was the biggest reason we were so good. It's because it was like a true family that year.
So many great moments from your career. I can remember you coming in, ball game may have been on the line in the 7th inning with 1 out, and you're coming out of the bullpen. You might try to close out the ball game from there, but think back to all those great moments that you were a part of. Is there one or a few that stand out as the finest moment for you?
We had a lot of good wins. We had a lot of fun wins, a lot of walk-offs. But I don't know if I could put my entire career into one moment because there's so many. If I had to look for a period of time, the regional in 2015 was probably the best baseball experience I've ever had. And more so because you saw guys like Corey Taylor throwing a complete game against Texas. You saw guys like Drew Smith absolutely blowing away Oregon State, was supposed to be a host that year, possibly a national seed. And you just saw we truly had fun playing baseball. We truly enjoyed the atmosphere, the fans that were there that weekend. And then, I look back to that VCU game all the time, and that, I don't even know how many innings I threw. I blacked out, but it had to be 4 and something, maybe 5. I threw a lot of pitches. That's really all I know. But that was probably, doing that, ending that game, and having just that moment on the mound where everybody's cheering for you. All your teammates are running out there because we're going to a championship game, a winner take all for the first time since I'd been at DBU. And that was the biggest thing, is just like I went out there and gave everything I had for my teammates, and they did the same thing for me that weekend. And that's just really that was probably you look back to that, and that's the greatest moment we've ever had here.
You've since gone on to a professional career. You've had to battle through some injuries. Where are you in that process right now in terms of your rehab, and when do you think you're back ready to throw again?
I had surgery about 20 weeks ago, so that's would put me at June. I start throwing in January, so they're going to give me about 28 weeks off post-surgery. And then the target date right now for my first game would be the end of June, so about a year out of surgery.
Can't wait to see you back on the mound soon. He's one of the all-time greatest closers in DBU baseball history. When the game was on the line, the pressure was mounting, there was nobody better that you wanted on the mound than Brandon Koch. He's been our guest on today's edition of Coming Home.